So I had quite a few people last week in the previous review that were saying that I was very close on my prediction on what Kaguri's true goal was. And I was questioning, how could I be so close but not actually hit the nail on the head with my prediction that Kaguri was trying to save all of the groups of characters we know, all of Kotaro's friends and things like that. And now I can see why I was so damn close, as her entire goal here is to try to find the path for humanity to survive. Not just Kotaro's friends, humanity in itself, as we know, the key essentially is the salvation of Earth, which will pretty much destroy all life and let it start anew. So this is pretty damn interesting to me, and I still can't see why people were telling me I had to read the visual novel to understand this, as this all makes perfect sense. There is a lot of information here, but it's all damn good information. In order for life to actually happen, it's a very slim chance. But with places that have high gravity, things like that, there is this aura that allows it to happen. And what ended up happening was evolution to keep the cycle so it wouldn't burn through resources. But once we evolved into humans, that's when things got a little bad. And the branches in ways things could evolve and change became endless, as that's why we see with this tree there's so many paths. We see a straight path that then just breaks off into millions of different paths, and that's because humans are so unpredictable. And that's why Kotaro had all these different paths, where eventually he realized he couldn't save everyone, so he would pick someone. And that's why we saw in the first episode why he was with all those people. Like I said, you know, different routes, things like that, which actually does, I'm going to mention this right now, some people were wondering why I didn't mention the scene with Kotori in the very first episode where she says, "You're not the Kotaro I know, blah blah blah." And the reason why I never mentioned that line was because I mentioned the fact that we were dealing with timeline manipulation. I didn't see the reason to pinpoint that exact line when everything I already mentioned, like, we are messing with timelines here and we're going on different paths, so I just thought that would clue in with all that. But some people were wondering why I didn't mention that line. I didn't see the point, because we are dealing with timelines, so things are going to change, timelines are going to merge, characters are going to pop in from one timeline to another. Really, I just thought it would be obvious why that was like this, but some people were wondering why, but that's the answer for that. But I love how the episode starts out with Kotaro literally rewriting his senses and everything with him, because to see how the universe works, to be able to actually visually see the information of what makes the universe what it is, which theoretically, if humans could see how the universe is, truly see what it is, not just within science and textbooks, things like that, if we could truly see the core of what makes the universe what it is, theoretically our brains would probably fry and explode. And that's exactly what has already happened to Kotaro in one of his lives there. So he rewrites his senses so he can take in the information as much as he can. We get to see him explore basically the realm of the universe, what makes the universe what it is, and I love seeing him and how they use the animation to really portray that sense of wonder, and just, there is so much information going into his mind, and he reaches that point at the very top where he just can't go anymore. That's as much as a human can comprehend, even with rewriting his senses. And I love that. I love how they're exploring the sense of, if you could see the universe as it is, your brain would be fried, because it is much more than the average human brain can really comprehend. And I loved how he even rewrote his senses and he still couldn't see everything, but he does get to see so much, and that's why when he comes out of there, he kind of loses his control as he sees so much. It's just a really interesting concept, and I love seeing that happen. But I also just really appreciate how everything is coming together from the first season, but also into this now. I mean, there's even a line in the episode where it's pretty much mentioned about chapter 1 to chapter 2, which I assume is a pretty nice tie into the visual novel, as you do probably go through chapters, if I'm not mistaken. But I loved how he's just kind of formulating his understanding of how this is working. How is there all these branches? Why is he remembering things from different lives? And that's because there are set paths. Humanity has an unlimited set paths, but no matter what, humanity will always burn through the resources. There are paths where the key dies, but still, they burn through their resources, so obviously Earth will end. There's paths where salvation happens, but no matter what, there's no path to keep humanity as it is surviving, because we are humans. I mean, look at what we do to our own Earth. We burn through resources, and I mean, our Earth relies on fossil fuel, which is ridiculous, as that shouldn't be the thing. So that's why the key is made. That's why this object is made, and I'm pretty sure the Kaguri we're looking at, wherever we are in this hub world that is essentially controlling life as we know it, is probably a different Kaguri than the one we saw in the individual timelines from the original season and all the individual ones that basically this tree is branching off to. But I just love seeing how they're portraying the wonder of the universe and seeing how this information goes, if even in someone's mind who has been rewrote to have a sense of be able to handle it, seeing how wonderful it is, but also how much information and how much it can destroy your brain. And after he does learn and explores what the universe truly is, he has the ability to start kind of controlling this hub world. He can make things happen. I mean, Kagura and himself have a dance and he can just make it happen, because this isn't just Earth. This, I mean, I assume we're on the moon or something like that, as this is the moon route, but I assume because this hub world is essentially the branch or the tree of life, basically the theory of life, that this is the hub world that controls everything that is Earth. So that's why he can just create all that, because, well, also, I mean, we are in the hub that kind of controls life as we know it, but also he explored this realm and got all this information. So he can do a lot of these miracles basically and create anything he wants. So it's a really interesting concept, and I love seeing that explored. And the animation, like, even when like the character models were a little iffy, just how they were using lighting and just colors, it was amazing to look at, to say the least. But I think, in all honesty, my favorite part of the episode was seeing that Gaia Saint, even though Gaia Saint is in different paths. She's not in this hub world. She's in her own path, but she is so bent on the destruction of life because she's, I assume, just an insane bitch. There's nothing past that. She's just insane and wants all life to be destroyed. She's literally sending these demons into this hub world that she shouldn't be able to access to kill the key. Like, that is how far she wants to go to keep the destruction of Earth, like, relevant. Which I'm curious that if in her timeline, wherever this is in the branch there in the trees, I'm wondering if they're using that song that Kagura was singing to bring the destruction, if that's how they're kind of bringing it into the hub world, if that's how she's able to do it, or if it's just because she's a crazy bitch and has some crazy powers. That could be it too. But I love seeing how she's just throwing these time and time again, and how powerful they truly were, as they were kind of like phasing through, like jumping around. Even Kagura almost got killed herself and she couldn't stop him with her ribbons. So it's really cool seeing that. But the best part of that is, because she is trying to kill Kagura, Kotaro no longer has to try to kill her himself, as that's pretty much been his entire goal, it seems like, is that each time he would take a path, he would try to save everyone, it would fail, so if it would fail, he can only choose one, and that's why we saw him with Shizuru and, you know, all the other characters, but no matter what, it still ultimately ended in a disaster in some way. But it wasn't that he was sent to protect her. If anything, he was sent to actually kill her. And because someone else is relieving him of that burden of trying to kill her, now he can make up his own mind and choose to protect her. But he can't do it alone. And since he already learned about the theory of life as much as he did, and because he's in this hub world, he can essentially create his own path, to which he brings the club back into this world. And I love seeing him bring everyone back in and seeing that moment where he's pretty much saying, I'm doing this for myself, and they say, we're in this together, kind of a thing. I love seeing that happen, and I love how everything's coming together. This is a beautiful season, to say the least. Like, seriously, there's so much information, but it's so good. It's not convoluted, doesn't feel too fast-paced, it doesn't feel too slow-paced. Everything about this feels perfect, and I think the naysayers of Season 1 are probably having a damn good time with this. I mean, this has been a phenomenal season so far, and I'm not sure how many more episodes we'll have for Moon. I assume probably 1 or 2 episodes before we move on to whatever that second arc may be, which all I know is it's called Terra. Know nothing past that. But if I had to assume anything, because we are essentially trying to create the perfect path, either A, we're not going to create that perfect path and we're going to lead into a route that basically we have to try to create the perfect path while in whatever route we can make, or Kagura is actually going to complete it, find the perfect path, and then we're just going to carry on like that. But either way, I assume this is why it's Moon and Terra, as we are in this hub world trying to find that one path that humanity can survive, and it doesn't relate to the key dying or the Earth burning through their resources. I mean, it's really interesting, to say the least. I love how they're taking it. I think everything about this has been really good. I'm sure there's going to be some people who don't like the romantic tension between Kagura and Kotaro, because they're going to have their own favorite girl, and best girl wars are the plague of the anime industry, because everyone wants their best girl to be with the main character. For myself, I just want the story to be good. I could care less who he loves. And I mean, Kagura's a cool character. I mean, it's just nice to see how they were alone in this world and how they were starting to bond and come together, because really they are the only ones there. and they just wanted to have someone to kind of interact with. Even though Kaguri's not talking, Kotaro got to talk to her, and it was a companionship that they both needed in some way. And without Kotaro, she probably would never be able to finish this theory of life. But now that he has brought everyone in, that they can protect her, she should be able to figure out a path, if there is a path, because humanity is a bunch of assholes. It's not surprising if there is always a path that leads to destruction. I mean, like I said, we're in a world that is built by fossil fuels. So yeah, we're gonna burn through resources, but I really did like this episode a lot. Like, just everything about this was just stellar. I mean, just really, I appreciate any story that does timeline manipulation, exploring the universe, what makes the universe what it is. Everything like that is my favorite type of storytelling. Things like Doctor Who are my favorite live-action television shows. I love timeline manipulation, I love multiverses, I love anything that really just makes you think and saying, how does this connect with this timeline and things like this, and I love the direction Rewrite is taking. And I can't wait to see where next week goes. This is another amazing episode, and like I mentioned, you know, I brought up the fact that I didn't mention that one line from the previous week. I'm not going to bring up every single thing every single week. I mean, there's definitely going to be weeks where I mention pretty much every big point, but there is going to be weeks where I miss things, and if you want me to answer like, hey, what did you think of this scene, I'll try my best to get back to you in the comments for that. But there is certain things like that comment in episode 1 where I didn't feel the need to mention that because, well, we're dealing with timeline manipulation. I just assume most people would say, oh, well, this could be a different Kotaro who got brought into this timeline. There could be some weird merging of timelines. Things are going to change. That's just how timeline manipulation works. But if there is anything from this week's review or any weeks in particular that you want me to answer, I will in the comment section below. But if it's not in the review, either A, I just forgot about it, or B, I just didn't think it was worth mentioning. But if you ever did want information, I always will respond as best as I can. But anyway, let me know your thoughts, visual novel players, anime onlys. How are you enjoying this? Because based on the reception, again, it seems like most visual novel players are still pretty happy with this adaptation. They're saying that this is the rewrite that they have wanted for a while. I've always loved rewrite, but this is just getting even better in my opinion. I love this a lot. I can't wait to see where it goes next week. And now that we have all our characters back in action, what type of trouble they're going to face, and if Kaguri can finish this theory of life and find a path for humanity to survive, because I love that as a story structure. Like, it's so good. So let me know your thoughts as always, and please be sure to hit that like button if you did enjoy the video, and if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.